Lucifer Season 3 was one of the worst seasons of television ever written, and a classic example of how not to write a love triangle. In the beginning of Season 3, Chloe and Lucifer shared some wonderful moments. Lucifer kept the bullet she shot him with in Season 1 and made it into a beautiful necklace, and it was the only thing kept in the secret safe because it was so important to him. He confessed some things to her that she heard when he was, when she was supposed to be asleep, but she was really awake. They had this really sweet moment where they hugged. Later on in the beginning, near the beginning of the season, they had a family night where they were face painting and karaoke and playing Monopoly with Trixie. And then he made her a personal, private prom that she never got to attend in high school. Now, from Season 1 until this point, Lucifer managed a couple lame kisses. That was it. Just about season, I don't know, you could kind of see it starting at about 8 or 9. Things just went south. Executives came in. If you've ever been on a writing team, you know what it's like to have people above you that think they know everything. They said, hey, let's do what Riverdale and all these other seasons are doing now. Let's bring Tom Welling back. He was a heartthrob back in the day. He's got the acting skills of a cardboard box. And for no reason whatsoever, Chloe Decker, the true villain of Season 3, vilifies, ostracizes, abandons, crucifies, is disgusted by the man who died twice, killed his own brother to save her, took a knife to his chest only for her to turn around and take cardboard box to a concert. As Ella told him, panties off, they're going to be getting busy. Oh, but Lucifer, don't worry about it. This is how disgusting this season was. A love triangle should be side A and side B working to try to secure C, which would be Chloe. Side A, which is Lucifer, would be doing good gestures, but maybe kind of screwing it up, not really understanding what he's doing. But Chloe would still appreciate him, right? And go, you tried. Side B would be the boring cardboard box. Sinnerman, I can't even get into. If I start talking about the plot line, I'm gonna snap. It was the dumbest thing ever. Anyway, side B should be doing, romantic things that you would expect from dating, right? Where he's doing it right. It may not be as exciting as what Lucifer's doing, but you understand why, she's with him. You never have the woman in the middle tell either one of the men she loves them. And they did. She tried to tell Marcus she loved him, and he stopped her. She told Lucifer she loved Marcus. I don't care what anybody says. Just because you stop yourself from saying something doesn't make it not true. She agreed to marry Marcus. Now keep in mind, while all of this is happening, she's watching someone who's been through hell and back with her. They have had some serious moments. She's watching him crumble and disintegrate, fall to the ground in pieces. Doesn't care. Trying to keep him at double arm's length. Doesn't want him around. Lucifer could have quit, and she never even would have looked back. That is not a love triangle. It's not. And you can't have both guys on the love triangle working on some supernatural plot where they're both working together and then this and that and then all of a sudden, boom, it doesn't work. Now all of a sudden they're on opposite sides. It's too late. They're not supposed to know what the other person's doing. You're supposed to see each side and understand why in the middle would do what she did. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. And to make it worse, she turned into a regular garden hoe. After a beach date, a motorcycle ride, and a concert, she was banging Pierce in the evidence locker, which later on in Season 5 Chloe would sit there trying to get Lucifer to tell him that he loves her right in the exact same spot where she was banging cardboard box. I know that was a middle finger from the writers. I do. I know they were upset that people didn't think their genius of season 3 was good. They disgust me. They really do. So at the very end, after they've already ruined the Chloe makes me vulnerable thing, now that Marcus lost his mark because she cares, she loves him, Lucifer is the one who tells Marcus that Chloe didn't love him. He's the one who hypothesizes why his mark left. Keep in mind, Chloe Decker never renounced her love. Never. The only reason she didn't get married to him, I can't even believe they did this. She's on the bus. And Charlotte Richards gave her some really dumb speech about marriage. And, you got married today, and what's to say you won't get married again? It was horrible. But then she's alone, drunk on the bus. And she's talking to the bus driver. And she says a bunch of crap about, I thought it would inspire this. None of anything that she said made any sense whatsoever compared to her actions for the entire series. And the bus driver she goes, "Hey, are you married?" And the bus driver says, "Yep, 25 years," whatever she said. "He's my everything. I hope yours is too." And Chloe looks around. Chloe looks confused. I think it's because she was drunk. Because at no time during season 3 did she ever demonstrate that Lucifer was anything to her. He was a garbage human being who she didn't want to deal with. She never showed him any compassion. She never questioned being with Marcus. She only wanted Marcus. She didn't care about Lucifer. So why, and this is going to make me even angrier when I say this, idiot fans are like, the reason she didn't marry Marcus is because maybe the bus driver was divine intervention. Okay. So now what you're telling me, I'm getting pissed off. Now what you're telling me is that the only reason she didn't marry Marcus was because God had to step in and say, you know what, you really do love Marcus, but I'm going to put this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to erase that. And then, when you go to my son, Lucifer, you're not going to tell him you love him. And by the time you do in season 4, it's going to mean nothing. And when you guys finally have sex in season 5, you'll feel nothing because, Chloe, you were a garden hoe in season 3 who gave it up to somebody who did nothing to earn it. Nothing. It was gross. Ella was a villain. The things she was saying to Lucifer, the things she was saying about, Pierce, who was making the fandom physically ill. Season 3 was a disaster. And I hope to God that the only reason you say you like it isn't because you remember when Lucifer used his wings to protect Chloe? Yeah. Chloe steps in front of Lucifer like she would anybody. If I was there, she would have stepped in front of me. She was hurt. She was still talking to Marcus like, I love you. You said you did all of this for me. You said you loved me. And the only thing she said to Lucifer after everything she did to him and all the hell she put him through, she said, "No, you're not. Not to me." When Lucifer told her he was the devil. And then in the next episode, she was being mean to him again. It is the worst season of television I have seen in a long time. It is the worst attempt at a love triangle. I felt nothing when Lucifer finally got a kiss at the very end because all I kept thinking was, how does Pierce taste? And yes, that's disgusting, but you got to understand, Marcus earned nothing. Nothing. And Lucifer got a little peck on the lips for everything he's ever done. Chloe Decker is the villain of season 3. She's a horrible person. I wanted her to die at one point because I was so agitated at how they were writing her. I just couldn't believe what I was watching. It was so bad. It was horrible. She goes full villain in season 5 again, too. She told Lucifer to go back to hell. Remember this. When she finds out she's a gift from God, she tells Lucifer, don't you have somewhere to be? If I was Lucifer, I would have flown, gone back down to hell, grabbed Mazikeen, gone back down to hell, said, peace out, see you later. I don't have time for this crap. You treated me horrible for 24 episodes of season 3. You tried to redeem yourself last season. The writers had to really do some gymnastic writing to try to get fans back on board. I mean, they had to pull it out their butt, and they thought, hey, we're in season 5 now. Let's go ahead and screw this up again. I already told you about the time they were talking, right where she was getting plowed by Marcus. An old boyfriend shows up right after they have this huge revelation, and she pretends that she doesn't even know Lucifer, essentially. And when they finally got busy after that episode, I felt empty. I felt like it was ruined already because season 3, I mean, it just, you can't write a season that bad. You can't have someone who you're supposed to love, Chloe, as a character, act the way she did and expect me to feel anything. I took pleasure in watching her suffer when Eve showed up in season 4. And Eve loved Lucifer. She loved him for who he was. And Chloe tried to kill him, tried to send him back to hell. I have no words. Chloe Decker is a villain. She doesn't deserve Lucifer. And if you think about it and you ask yourself, does she? And you don't go back to Lucifer used his wings to protect her in season 3. You're going to say, no, she doesn't. She is a horrible person who started off as a wonderful single mother who didn't want to watch her partner collapse, who didn't want to push him away, who didn't even believe him in the beginning of season 3 when he came back, a man who doesn't lie and says he was kidnapped. And all of a sudden, she thinks he's crazy. Shame on the writers. Shame on them. I have no words. When they had the random lady show up at Lux after Chloe was getting plowed all over the place, they had a random woman show up at Lux. So Lucifer, it would insinuate that, hey, Lucifer's getting some too. Even though he didn't want any other woman, he only wanted Chloe. Let's throw her up there to make it seem like, well, he's not being, faithful to her either. And Chloe, and I can tell you, you don't have to believe me, but I know somebody that was on staff. The moment that got the series canceled, the moment that turned fans' stomach, the moment that turned executives' stomachs, some of the ones that counted, was when the writers had Chloe get plowed in the DNA evidence room like a hoe, show up to the scene like a hoe with evidence on her, look at Lucifer and say, yeah, we came, we rode together. Chloe Decker was the villain of season 3, and the writers should never ever be allowed to write a series season ever again.